Robert Suarez, who signed with the Braves on a 3-year, $45 million deal. I think Robert Suarez signed to be the Braves closer in 2027 is the correct read on this, because Raisel Iglesias obviously re-signed earlier in the offseason on a 1-year deal. Do you think Robert Suarez is, it's been reported by multiple sources the Braves intend to keep Raisel Iglesias as the closer. Mm-hmm. Robert Suarez will be a setup man. They're not giving him $45 million to be a setup man for 3 years, right? This is you're the closer in waiting, even though you're 35 years old.
Yeah, probably. My read on it was I was surprised that they're sticking with Iglesias rather than Suarez after signing Suarez to this kind of deal. Granted, Iglesias will be making the more money between the two in 2025. He's back on a $20 million deal. But Suarez was better last year. Now, I will note, Raisel Iglesias' season turned on a dime. Mm-hmm. And
last 40 innings or so, it was like a sub-2 ERA. He was dominant.
Yeah, it was like, let me see if I can find the exact number.
Like, it's kind of funny. Like, he had this bad, disappointing season, I guess, for fantasy. He also ended up with like a 3 ERA and 29 saves last year.
So final 45 appearances, a 1.25 ERA, 0.69 whip, 10K per 9. Clearly regained his form. The slider was a source of problems for him early on. It just didn't work anymore. So once he ditched it, because he has enough other pitches that, you don't need that many pitches as a reliever. Once he
started out as a starter, remember?
He did, yeah. Once he ditched the slider, Iglesias was fine. And I don't know if they had already signed him with the understanding he'd be the closer, and they were able to come to an understanding with Robert Suarez that he wouldn't be the closer. And so it was just kind of a way to make sure they were able to get both back. But if Iglesias has trouble like he did early last year, then it wouldn't take much for Robert Suarez to wind up in the role. So he should be among the highest targeted setup men, I would say. If your league targets any setup men, Robert Suarez would be one of the top ones targeted.
Yeah, probably not 12-team leagues, but maybe 15-team leagues. You're looking to draft Robert Suarez.
And holds leagues, he's a great option for them too.
Would you rather have Raisel Iglesias or Devin Williams?
They are back-to-back in my rankings, and I'm trying to remember who's ahead. Iglesias is ahead. Because, of course, Devin Williams, I think, had even clearer issues in 2025. Not as obvious of a backup closer there, so it's a close call, but I think I feel a little more confident with Iglesias.
There is a lot less certainty in the Detroit Tigers bullpen after they signed kind of their third closer. Or I guess they signed their second closer to join a closer who was already there. Kenley Jansen, 1-year, $11 million deal, club option for 2027. He's 38, but he's still good enough. I don't think Kenley Jansen is a dominant closer anymore, but he's been good enough to not really lose the job at any point in recent years. 29 saves, 2.59 ERA. The underlying numbers, a lot more mediocre, but he's managed to avoid falling off so far. He is 2 saves away from being third all-time in saves. He is 24 saves away from 500. Probably not going to get to Trevor Hoffman or Mariano Rivera, but I have a hard time seeing Kenley Jansen signing anywhere to be a setup man. Do you think he's just the closer in Detroit? I know it's been a tough spot to figure out the closers over the years. Do you think this just pushes Kyle Finnegan and Will Vest out of the way?
I mean, I have to think so. It's the most proven closer AJ Hinch has ever had, which, I mean, 4th all-time in saves. It's
probably a Hall of Famer.
That kind of goes without saying, one of the most proven closers ever. But just for most of AJ Hinch's career, both in Houston and Detroit, he hasn't had a closer that was so proven at all. I mean, there was Roberto Ozuna was the last probably last reliever who he had who was considered one of the best closers in baseball when he was doing that. And that was in 2019, and Roberto Ozuna saved 38 games for the Astros that year. So when he's had true closers, AJ Hinch. He has stuck with them. It's not like the Tigers have some lights out reliever who would be breathing down Jansen's neck for the role. We think Kyle Finnegan is pretty good now because of the improvements he made with the Tigers last year. And of course he's back for next year, but doesn't have a long history of it. Will Vest led the team in saves last year, but not really like a shutdown reliever. So
they both feel like setup men.
Yeah. I think as long as Kenley Jansen doesn't collapse, which at his age, it's possible, obviously saw the strikeout rate drop last year. As long as that doesn't happen though, I think he's the closer. I think Tigers look like contenders, so he'll probably gets around 30 saves and makes for a fine number 2 reliever in fantasy.
Yeah, not a top 12 closer, but a top blank closer. What would you put there?
15.
Okay, would you rather have him or right now Dennis Santana?
Jansen.
What about Edwin Uceta?
Jansen.
Emilio Pagan.
Because we don't really know who Uceta is a closer, but he's my leading candidate for Tampa.
What about Emilio Pagan in Cincinnati?
I have Pagan ahead, but when I was adjusting my rankings with this Jansen signing, I wasn't so sure. I wasn't so sure. Pagan is 13th among closers, and I thought about slotting Jansen right up there. I just think there's a little more strikeout upside with Pagan.
All right, and the Mets have found their Pete Alonso replacement, kind of. Jorge Polanco, 2-year, $40 million deal. He is going to play first base and DH for the Mets, according to reports. They've got work to do. It sounds like Mark Vientos is available via trade if they... I don't know. I look at the Mets with Vientos and Brett Beatty and even like Ronnie Mauricio and Luis Angel Acuna and Jet Williams, I think, plays second base as well. I look at all those guys and I just kind of think like, just hang on to all of them. And just like, you got like 4 good months out of Vientos 2 years ago. You got like, 3 good months out of Brett Beatty last year. It doesn't feel like anybody that they have is a surefire thing. So if I were running the Mets, I'm not. If I were, I don't know if I'd move any of those guys just because I kind of want as many bites at the apple for that second base / third base spot.
Well, especially Vientos. I mean, I can't imagine he has much trade value coming off a bad year, not a good plate discipline guy, right-handed hitter, kind of a butcher defensively. Like, what are you going to get for him in a trade?
Exactly,
honestly?
yeah.
Might as well hope he restores his value this year in some capacity, whether that's DH or first base. And it sounds like as the roster currently stands, he and Polanco will be trading off between those two positions.
Polanco coming off a very good year, 26 homers, 265 average, 821 OPS, cut the strikeout rate, hit the ball really hard, and it's a park upgrade, moving from Citi Field to from T-Mobile Park to Citi Field. I think Polanco's kind of a pretty good fantasy option for 2026. Obviously, he's dealt with a lot of injuries to his knees over the past couple of years. Was really hit or miss last year. Remember, he had that unbelievable April. I think the 1226 OPS I saw earlier today. It's like one of the 5 best months in Mariners history. By WOBA, it might have been the best month in Mariners history, believe it or not. Then he was unusable in May and June, and then closed the season out really strong with the final 3 months.
For an organization that had Ken Griffey Jr. and Alex Rodriguez for Jorge and Edgar Martinez.
Yeah.
For Jorge Polanco to have had the best month. Are you sure about that, or are you just...
I saw it, but, I just say things sometimes.
Yeah, that's fine.
But where are you ranking Jorge Polanco for 2026 at second base, where he will open the season with eligibility?
Yeah, and that's his main value in fantasy, is that he's eligible at the weakest position, probably, in fantasy. I didn't change my ranking for him with this news because I already had him ranked pretty aggressively. He's my number 9 second baseman. I think his rebound last year was legit. You mentioned the knee problems. He played with an injured knee for a couple years and finally had surgery. Going into last year, he finally had surgery to address the patellar tendon, which was causing him so much trouble. And immediately we saw the numbers bounce back. not just the top line numbers, but the exit velocities. The strikeout rate was cut in half, basically. He looked like the Jorge Polanco we remember from his Twins days. So I felt pretty good about him. If he played any other position but second base, he'd be a late rounder probably. Mm-hmm. But given that there aren't 12 like surefire starters to go around at that position, I think he's obviously one of the 12 that needs to be drafted as a starter. It is a park upgrade. I was kind of surprised to see that his expected home runs by ballpark were about the same between Seattle and Citi Field.
Well, the thing about Seattle is it's a big park, and Citi Field is also a big park in terms of the dimensions. The main problem with Seattle is just guys can't see the ball there.
Yeah.
Strikeouts go up in Seattle is the primary way that offense is downgraded there. So
if he stays healthy, I think Polanco hits about 25 homers again, has a decent batting average, runs an RBI, should be solid. Mm-hmm. It's a question of if he can stay healthy at 32, just a year removed from knee surgery.
I've got him 10th. And I think the gap between him and I think Jackson Holliday is 7 for me. The gap between the two of them and that tier, which is Jackson Holliday, Ozzie Albies, Brandon Lau, and Jorge Polanco, very small for me. I think they should all go within a couple of rounds of each other. So that's moving up Polanco now that we know where he's signing and that he'll hopefully be playing a less demanding defensive position. I think it's a very good pick for 2026, and I think he'll move up a lot from his current price, which is $242.2. I think he's got to be a top 200 pick personally. Yeah. And then we've got Merrill Kelly returning to the Diamondbacks on a 2-year, $40 million deal. They traded him to the Rangers at the deadline, but brought him back. He's 37 years old, but he's been very solid lately. 3.47 ERA, 1.15 WHIP over the past 4 years combined. Almost all of it with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Last year, very similar numbers. Underlying numbers don't back it up, but they never do. And Merrill Kelly just keeps getting the job done. It's going to fall apart at some point, and there's not a ton of upside with Merrill Kelly, but he's early ADP right around 245. You've got Merrill Kelly or Bryce Miller, Merrill Kelly or Noah Cameron, Merrill Kelly or Hurston Waldrop. Who would you rather have among those groups?
I would rather have, I'll tell you exactly how I have them ranked. I have them ranked Kelly 1, Waldrop 2, Miller 3, and who is the other one?
Noah Cameron.
Yeah, that's right. Cameron 4. So Kelly, Waldrop, Miller, Cameron. I think Merrill Kelly is boring, and so he's likely to be underrated in drafts. Mm-hmm. But he's the sort of pitcher you draft as like your number 6.
Yeah,
in a 12-team league, and then you end up using him way more
every
than you
week.
Expected to.
Yep, he's just solid.
Unless he falls off. Unless he falls off, but you got to figure no organization knows him better than the Diamondbacks, and they brought him back for $20 million a year.
You're talking about Hurston Waldrop, who's got like a handful of good starts at the major league level. Bryce Miller was really bad last year. I know he was decent in the playoffs, but it was like 9 strikeouts to 6 walks in 14 innings. It was not very encouraging, even though he kept runs off the board. I have very little faith in Noah Cameron. I think he's just a guy. So, you can theoretically argue there's more upside for the other guys, but I think Merrill Kelly is perfectly fine in that range and should be a very solid draft pick.